Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh Lord, as we gather this day to report business for the people of the village of Louisville, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding.
All right. First item up on the agenda is public comment. Any public comment? So public comments over. Does the cemetery committee want to do anything? Do you guys have anything?
We could do a soft shoe. But we're talked out, and
Okay.
Fran represents us so well when there's something something to talk about.
So we'll do Steve next.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Fran, for disseminating the article about Sasana. And if you haven't all read it, folks, I do have a copy of the pen saver here if you haven't read it. But basically, the article was research that the mayor asked me to do a few months ago in regards to determining whether the Sasana Loft monument is indeed, in fact, maybe the oldest monument to a Native American in the United States. So after a few weeks of research, as the article read that most of you were able to look at, I determined that, of course, there's no absolute here. I determined that it was the oldest monument to a Native American with interment, and the second oldest to a Native American in the United States. The second oldest and the first oldest to a Native American woman in the United States. And I tried to verify with a lot of different sources at the state level and the federal level. I do have evidence of all the variety of email correspondence, which was kind of looking for, as I stated, I was looking for some sort of a database which did not exist. And I was just told to research on my own, and after quite a bit of time and in good faith, made this determination. So I am requesting that in light of this, and I can answer whatever questions you have regarding research, but I am requesting that the village approve signage for a real historical marker, state type, yellow and blue, for the Sasana monument. And as Fran has probably already told you, it's already gone through, we are in agreement with the cemetery committee, and then of course would like to see what you all think of it. So if you have any questions.
Yeah, that's great.
Sure.
It was a great article.
Yeah, thank you.
So you have to apply to the state for that?
No, you do not apply to the state. I'm going to apply first up at the Pomeroy Foundation. So I might at the same time do that camp marker. That, of course, was a pretty big deal a few months back. So both of those items go through. And of course, they need, they're not going to drop the money for this sign without, having this research, be somewhat verifiable or reasonable, I guess, at least. But we'll have to be careful, what the verbiage is on the sign, and of course have you all look at that, I suppose. So pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
What is it again, Rusty? Shannon. Hauser from Woodstock.
So there's no real, we don't need to take action on this. We would just, I guess the sense is that we would support the application for the historical
grant,
record?
right? The idea being that the grant to pay for the costs
Right,
associated with it.
Right.
I think it's now just a letter of support, or special support from the village board to get this grant.
And I do believe I need some sort of proof in the application that, it is an agreement with the municipality.
Okay. So I guess we could make a motion in support, right?
Yeah.
And send the minutes with support.
Great.
Get your letter.
Yeah, so motion to authorize the mayor to sign a letter in support of the application for the historical marker and grant.
Second that motion.
Okay. Quick vote on that, Fran?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll get your letter.
All right.
There you go.
Thanks.
Put that on the list of things to do.
When you asked for comment, I should have, the first half of our meeting was discussing what a great job Jeff and his crew did last year, and I wanted to mention that. I think it was a great year. So thank you.
Thanks. I'll let you guys know. The grant that you guys are talking about, that is not through the state, correct?
It is not.
I found out today that we have a little problem with the historic grants, which is through the same place with Parks and Rec. We got that years ago, 10 years ago, we got the grant to do the stone walls and didn't have the money to do it. Previous administration opted to, let's say, cancel that grant, and they never actually did it. So we put in for a historical grant for 90 Temple Street, which got denied because we haven't done anything with the original $600,000. And I just found this out today. So I'm gonna get a hold of Kathleen tomorrow with State Parks and Rec and find out if a simple resolution saying we, cancel or void the original grant will suffice for. But I got told today that we won't get any state
Until that's resolved.
until that's resolved.
Yeah, we definitely get rid of that.
Right. So I'll get a hold of Kathleen tomorrow.
Does that mean we can still use that grant?
Actually, it does, but it's too late.
As I
Time
recall,
expired now, right?
we got several extensions on that. And I thought it would expire if we didn't.
That's what I thought also, but I got 5 extensions in that. It was a 5-year grant. I kept hold of it for 10, and apparently I didn't have to do anything to keep it alive, I guess, because it still is. But we need to terminate that.
Yeah, whatever we need to do, yeah.
This did come up with the landscape architect who's doing cultural resource survey. She brought it up and questioned any of the work in Evergreen because they have.
If we'd accepted the grant, we would have had to adhere to the scope exactly, but we didn't. So, and just because it's on the historic registry, it's a totally different deal. We can do whatever we want to do up there, basically. But we'll be all
I'm
right.
sorry, I just she brought it up and I.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Anything else?
While we're on the subject of being a historian, Mr. John Ricklefs, Ricklef, did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Ricklef.
He has inquired about being a historian for the OPD. There's a lot of history there. I spoke to Chief Kennedy, and he doesn't think there's anybody appointed as of yet. And you guys you did stop by there to pick some stuff up?
Well, I've been working on stuff since the memorial. Actually, before that, I was approached, I believe in August, by Tom Woodburn to see what we had at the museum, because I'm also the board president for the museum. But with that little bit, and then myself, I took it on. I've done quite a bit of research. Remember, I was telling the guys, I tracked back to 1860, that there were 4 constables in Owego for the department. And I happened to ask Tom Woodburn last week whether or not there was a historian because of all the information I have. And he said no, that he knew of, but he said, I think you'd be good at it. So I've been tossing that idea around, and I wanted to meet with Tom and the chief to get some ideas on some stuff, but then I had mentioned to Fran and Charles to make sure that there wasn't somebody else I'd be stepping on their toes. But if not the case, I would be interested in being the historian for the OPD.
Yeah, no idea.
So certainly the office of historian is currently filled. I'm not sure if we could create a deputy historian position, you know, and you'd be more specifically asked or tasked with doing OPD stuff. I'd ask our current historian, you know, whether or not that's, you know, what his thoughts and opinions are, and I'm not sure if we want to have a full-blown discussion about that right now.
Right.
It seems like something to maybe think about.
Well, I know one time they had a historian for the fire department.
Right.
So that was
Yeah, Dennis Reynolds was the fire department historian, whether or not that was an official position or just inside the fire department. I think it was an internal fire department position.
But they didn't know if it was something that you guys, the board, would have to approve, or if they could just say, yeah, if you want to work on this, it would be great.
Sure. But it almost seems like the historian could make that decision, right?
Yeah.
Our appointed historian could say, I mean, we don't... Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a distinction between what I think you're proposing, which is anybody who wants to volunteer their services to the historian and assist him in, you know, his endeavors at preserving and protecting and researching the history of the village of Owego, feel free. It wouldn't be a paid position, you know, it's just volunteering, it's no title to it.
No.
You know, you wouldn't be able to control or access any of the documents and records. Those will, of course, still be the village's, and you'd have to return anything if the historian ever told you to, that type of thing. But if that's all that's really being considered, I think, yeah, just go ahead and do it.
Thank you.
Thanks, I needed that.
So I propose that we go ahead and do that.
It's very formal. You don't need to do that.
Oh, okay.
You can appoint us and you appoint us.
You want a night meeting?
Anything else about history?
Let's do, we'll do this no-cost change order thing next. So the department head reports. So, Tracy, or Ron, from Rebel, a little better than I could.
I got my copy. I apologize for that. The Lobar, the general contractor, is proposing a no-cost change to the project. So, for some soil removal and stuff. Changing from the original scope of the project to a zero cost change. That's
But you recommend that we...
yes. Yeah.
So...
Second. So, motion and a second for acceptance of the no-cost change. Any discussion on that? Okay. And Brad?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, so sign that. Well, this is, I probably need 3 copies. This is all the things that have to sign. I'll get a whole bunch. Actually, we'll see if I can we approve that? Next is motion and acceptance for the WIA grant, which is $175,000 more that we got for our UV disinfection project at the wastewater treatment plant after phase 2 is complete. So basically they sent us an official award letter, and we need to sign this official award letter and get it back to them so that we get the money.
Seems like another no-brainer.
Yeah, do it.
So, Commissioner, are you on board with this?
Well, I would really prefer that we approve the motion to accept this grant.
Anybody accept it?
$7,000.
It's $375,000, so.
Who seconds that?
Oh, second.
We'll fight, gentlemen.
No, we're just moving along.
Brandon?
Yes.
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 Yes. Say
Yes. All right, this side. I'll give it to Red.
Use it. Have it. I got one from Stanley.
All right, any purposes of
Then the one that's not on there too.
Yeah, so then we need there's an idea that we need a motion to send that same project, the UV disinfection project, is ready to go out to bid. So I don't know when we approved it to go forward before, if we approved it to go all the way out to bid. So,
When are they planning on actually advertising?
They're ready, I mean, so.
DEC sent it
I haven't seen anything from like a, just a contract review side. Normally we like to include a copy of the contract that we're gonna make every contractor sign on to as part of the. Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Were they planning on sending stuff over, or?
I'm not sure if, Hunt didn't say.
Yeah, I know I've talked with the Hunt guys before about this project, so I know they know, time involved, but not to say that, I don't want to hold anything up, but it's just like, oh, how close are we to going out to bid here?
They said they're ready with it, they're pretty much wrapped up and ready to go out the bid, is what I was told. And they just asked me if when the board voted before, did that vote carry all the way through to for bid, or does another motion need to be made? I said I wasn't sure.
I think there doesn't need to be a board vote to go out, requesting bids. It's like Jeff going out for getting quotes on things. You can just go out and do it. It's the awarding the bid that really matters.
Okay.
I think it's more just an FYI to the board that the project's going to go out to bid soon.
Okay.
Sounds fine. We'll make sure that you get a copy of all the stuff. All right.
$250 an hour, man.
I know. Yeah, we'll do the election. Motion that's down a couple on the agenda. Motion to appoint election inspectors for March 18th, 2020.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt this resolution as written on the paper for the appointing of election inspectors and particulars for it.
I'll second that. Yeah. Any discussion on election inspectors?
It will be, as you might notice, it'll be on Wednesday, normally on a Tuesday. The St. Patrick's Day is on a Tuesday, so we're moving it back when it has, but the state.
The state has moved it, yeah.
For an election.
So that is on this.
Yep.
The movement of the election to the 18th is on this day.
No. Got a vote sober.
Fran?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that's fine. And then we'll do the motion for the medics CAC agreement, which I know, Rob, you asked me what that was.
Yeah.
It is. So this is the agreement between us and the credit collection agency. So I called medics today and I talked to the woman and I said, which I have this in an email too. I said, when exactly do people go to collections? And she said, the only scenario that, per what we filled out, is if they have received a check from the insurance company and have not paid it. And that is it.
So do we have to have a new,
So what
a
period of time?
new or more of an agreement? Is that what we have?
Well, Nate looked at this agreement, he had comments, I sent it to MedX, and they were gonna send it to whoever the agreement's with, to see what their comments were back from this.
Right. So if you folks wanted to approve, I would say approve it subject to legal review and approval. Just ironing out these changes that we're talking about. They're mainly to clarify some of the terms and I'll say ambiguities that they had in their contract, tighten it up a little bit, but nothing to, we're not changing the percentage fee that these folks would get or anything like that.
This is from this time forward, obviously, because prior to us having the numbers that we needed, people were receiving checks and just cashing them, so we're not necessarily going after them because it's like pointless at this point to do that.
Still insurance fraud.
It is, but how are you gonna afford to go after?
Well, I think the idea with this collection agreement is that the village is owed the money. Right. If a delinquent account is sent to these folks will then.
Yeah, then we'll have an agency to go.
Yeah, so that would include people from, a month, 2 months, how long ago.
If they received an insurance check and cashed and got the money, that's the scenario that would go to collection.
There's gonna be a lot.
If you owe a deductible, right, so if you take an ambulance ride and you owe a deductible, then you would not go to collection. You would make attempts to bill and.
Right. We're still making reasonable attempts to collect, but we're not necessarily utilizing this collection agency.
No.
Did you find
I was gonna ask what period of time between the people receiving the check and receiving these collection notices? I mean, what period of time are you gonna give people to?
They somehow know.
6 months?
They somehow know
9
whether or not
months?
they've cashed the checks and all of that.
So that's not something that's necessarily outlined in this agreement, because this agreement is about the collection agency and the efforts that they'll make to attempt to collect the debt. Whether we choose to send it.
MedX will inform the collection agency when there has been a check issued in cash.
Right.
Right. But that's not really part of.
Yeah, that's not part of this agreement. No.
Right.
Yours is more of a procedural issue of how it gets from here to the collection agency, and that's basically whatever time frame I think we've worked out with MedX as to the efforts that they're making to try and collect
The length between bills and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to say it's a month or something like that.
Like 30, 60, 90.
Usually, yeah.
Did you find out, remember when we went through the process and it was like 4 times that it had been?
Yes, so that's, they send 4 different bills. If you don't fall in this category, then they basically drop it.
But remember, it was the insurance companies that were answering, remember?
Right, so they'll keep pounding them. until they get money.
I didn't know if there was a cap that they weren't gonna do that, because they actually had private pay insurance.
Right.
And those are the ones that we noticed when we went together, looking at all this, that they were like 4 times had been sent to these insurance companies, not the people themselves. And
Yeah, they'll keep sending them.
okay.
And some of that was we were new at billing, and our agency was new at sending bills, so the insurance companies didn't respond.
Okay.
Why can't these checks be routed directly to?
They are now.
They will go now.
Yeah, okay, because it just seems like a no-brainer to do that.
Right, and there are some insurance companies that work that way. I mean, think of like, it's more common in dental insurance, but I guess some medical insurance companies work that way too.
Yeah, so my dental insurance sends a check to me and then I have to pay.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what some of these insurance companies do. But now that we actually have the Medicare numbers,
Yes, they will get.
it gets directly sent
All right, that's it.
instead of the way it had been. But there was no other option before. We just had to take people on honesty.
Yeah, I get one deal for their hand off. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve subject to the final details being worked out.
Legal review.
Legal review. There you go.
Second.
Any more discussion on it? Everybody good? Okay.
Yes.
Brian? Charles?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I sent it to them. I can send you her email too. She was gonna send it on to that company because it's not them that the agreement's with. She doesn't know of anybody that's had comments before, so. Special. That's what I said. They had on here discussion on appointing intern justice. And that's because of our acting justice. And I talked to the judge today, and he is not quite ready to do that yet. He wants to wait another board meeting or 2 before he comes with a suggestion for us. Obviously reappoint, but he kind of suggests or has to approve of it. So anyway, he's working that out. He's got a couple people in mind, so.
Just today.
We do department head reports. So stuff just Rob?
Well, Jim Morris and I talked to each other a couple weeks ago and set up a time for both EMS and the fire department members to get together and clean up the bay. Everybody, we got in there, it was raining, it was nasty, but we didn't care. We got it done, it looks a lot better. There's more room. And, you know, he came up and thanked us, and we thanked them too, because it was a lot of work to get that all cleaned up out of there. Paul and I sat down with Candor, EMS, and an agreement that is being used by Greater Valley is going to be the one that we're going to be using as well. And at this point, we went back to see how many would even qualify to even be part of this agreement. There's only like 4 patients that have gone in that would even qualify to be part of the agreement.
What's the agreement for?
Because of mutual aiding, we receive money anyway because we can bill for our part.
Okay.
For most cases. But if we, like Medicaid, they have a cap anyway that they'll pay.
Right.
So everybody is going to get we get the same amount, whether they got that full amount from that or not, but we get the same amount. So Greater Valley, it does the same thing. So we'll be getting a copy of that soon.
Okay.
But it's a nothing really much agreement because it's really not going to amount to much. But at least it's something that we got. And Spencer, we really don't necessarily handle all that much. You know, I think we did one or two.
Okay.
So, but that went forward well. We got excited. We covered 3 back-to-back calls, and then when 3-1 came back, it had an briefly. But that's all better now. So we're back to 3 ambulances again. We've completed the agency research. They're done. Stat big of everything going out. So Rod, you'll get that tomorrow.
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork.
Yes, Paul, thank God. He did a lot of it, and him and Stephanie both. The contracts with the hospitals, the only thing that any of us noticed, anything that needed to change was just the name on the agency. It's the same contract, it's been used forever. So I don't know where we're at with that. But at this point, pretty soon, it's just not gonna matter, because the students will go somewhere else.
When we have these agreements with Candor or whoever else, do those, who makes those, do you bring those back to us for approval? Do you just make those? How does this work?
It's not a contract, it's just an agreement. And so, I mean, we'll bring it back, but we haven't got, I mean, it was done through their attorney, which is affiliated with theirs, with them anyway. So.
I mean, I think the village board would still have to approve it though.
I didn't say they wouldn't, I mean, yeah, well, I'm just saying, it's in the process of being.
Next meeting.
Well, I'll bring it when I get it, that's all.
Just asking about all these agreements.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on board.
Oh yeah, I'm not keeping it to myself, it's not the I want. But yeah, we'll bring it, but we get it.
Sounds like a plan.
So we're working. Contracts.
So, what are we gonna do with those contracts with the hospitals?
Were they sent on to the hospital folks?
Yeah, we sent them to the hospitals to see what they think of the changes.
Did we?
Right.
I don't have the context for the hospitals. I thought we talked about you setting them on.
We didn't agree on the changes. The only thing that really needed, that was the whole thing.
So I certainly emailed you asking you to call me to talk about those changes, and I thought at the last meeting we talked about just sending on the drafts with the red lines we have to see what the hospital's responses would be. So nothing's been sent to the hospital?
Obviously not. And they're not going to approve it anyway.
Well, it's a negotiation.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is the time. So, like I said, if we're gonna do it, it's gonna be for next year, because there's not enough time now for the students to get any time in the hospital with back and forth stuff, so.
So are you going to send it on to the hospital?
I'll have to look at my email and see if I still have it.
Certainly resend if you want to let me know if you don't have it.
So obviously I'm not Jimmy. He had a last minute family obligation, so he just had me swing through quick to look on his behalf. Finish up the year, 24 calls for service for December. And then we just spent the last 3 days out in Appalachian helping those fine folks out with that. And I think that was really passed along. I don't know. The other thing you wanted to ask was about the Airpack stuff going forward. I wasn't sure if that was a later on discussion or when you wanted to bring that up.
No, I was going to bring it up during his thing. So we got two, did everybody get the two proposals? I figured that was going to be long. So we have the original proposal that Jimmy gave us for all new, I'm sure Andy can explain better, but all new Scott backs and air bottles. And then we have
I looked at it earlier.
the other proposal for, and that was about a couple $100,000, 200,000-ish. Then we have a new proposal for just to replace the bottles and the masks, and that's $52,270. So I think they're looking for us to somehow do something on one of those two options.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, just due to our, I know the mayor, and myself and Jimmy have spoken, not saying that we're in a unique situation, but we are in a unique situation being that a good majority, probably 75% if not more, of our current bottles to date, there's a hydro limit of 15 years. So when they were purchased in 05, obviously we're in 2020, so we're at that 15-year mark, which unfortunately they need to be pulled out of service. And unfortunately that deadline is February. So yeah, so for us, we would lose obviously that amount of bottles to be able to be in compliance with PESH and OSHA, things like that, just because, we don't want any liability on you guys, we don't want any liability on us, we want to make sure everyone's safe, has the best equipment going forward. We've written the two proposals basically, and I know Chief Morris has spoke on this a couple times, just to try to bring things now back into the modern century, but obviously that was 2004 technology. Looking forward today, there's amazing amounts of safety technology that are going into these new air packs. With that, our ability to hook up to other departments, things like that, there's a whole, probably could do a demonstration on some of that at some time if that's something you guys would like. But going forward with the new ones, they get buddy breathers and things like that. Using the example more previously of the last 3 days, we were in Appalachian helping them. And unfortunately we could fill our bottles with them, but their system has changed because they've upgraded their packs. And we weren't able to really adapt to them. Just kind of some things that we can work around, but obviously are a little hindrance when you're in the middle of a fire scene, and things like that, as far as safety goes.
What kind of I would assume this would fall under an equipment reserve. What kind of equipment reserve do we have in the fire department at this point?
Their only reserve is for trucks. They don't really have an equipment reserve.
No?
Not really. It's always been used for trucks, but
From my understanding, I've never really been in the budget mix, but that is my understanding of how that is written, or how it goes.
So we have reserve for trucks. If we use that for this, then we have no reserve at all for trucks. That's not what the chief would like or the fire department would like to do. But yes, we don't have an extra reserve for other things like this.
The other thing is that the reserve is actually for trucks. You can't use it.
Right,
But I don't think it says that.
Depends how it's coded.
Depends on how it's coded.
Right.
Well, it really depends on how the board authorized it.
Right. Way back then.
Yeah, where is it?
I need some help. I got a few questions because these folks need to know some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
So in the proposal to just get the masks and the bottles, that presupposes that the packs are okay. I mean, because we're getting 25 new masks, so that presupposes that most or all of the 25 packs without the masks are kind of okay or generally okay.
Well, to speak to that point, yes. So they are functional. I mean, I guess
That's
there's
what I mean.
no
That's what I
question there.
Okay.
The biggest thing obviously are the bottles, because those after February are no longer functional. The biggest thing that we were trying to do and going forward with this proposal essentially is just added safety. We did get a couple key features in one of our quotes as part of that, where it's a pack tracker system. You know, like I said, fancy things aren't really what we're going for just to have the latest and greatest. The biggest thing is really just safety. So yes, to answer your question, they work. It's just going forward, you know, what if we can get better technology and work with, you know, we rely on Appalachian quite a bit. Anytime we have a fire, they're going to be here for our fast team, which is almost required by a lot of the pest and OSHA type stuff. So we're just trying to streamline some process, work better, and things like that. So that answer your question?
Yeah, no, just just wanted to be clear for everybody that the packs themselves are not out of compliance, not necessarily in February at this second a problem. I understand the idea of getting new and better, but that is, when we look at our options, that is a part of the option.
I have a question.
But, yeah, because I
we went ahead and bought the bottles and the masks, does that wouldn't hinder us from buying just the packs, like, after February, right?
No, I don't know what the cost difference would be.
Right.
Going forward, obviously, that's an option, and we can, you know, adapt the bottles to fit these new packs. Obviously, there'd be probably a little bit of a cost association because there are some different valves and things. Obviously, it's kind of like buying a car, right? You get various options and things that you can do when you're speccing out packs like that.
Right.
But that's definitely something that can be used into the future. Absolutely.
Make sure they're compatible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything we're going to buy will be compatible with anything that would come later or is compatible with what we have now.
Okay.
You know, it's just there's some NFP updates, NFPA updates, and some couple other things that we would get with purchasing new packs.
Right.
Because obviously technology changes by the day, as we all know. So same thing with fire service.
So Mayor, along what you're saying, once again, is we're looking at all these possible options, which something we thought